here's a good one, little demo for you. Celine had a problem in her house, and we were looking at the problem, and we walked by another problem. And she said, wait a minute, wait a minute. Take a look at this and tell me, is this really horrible stuff? Now, this particular one was not her picture, but you see this white stuff in here? You would assume that that's mold just growing. And here's one that's a little heavier, but doesn't look quite, well, it could be mold growing like that. And that's what she had, was just like that. So what the question is this mold or is this something else? And the way to test it is to take a cup like this. Well, here's the stuff. Well, first of all, I'm going to take a cup, and I'll show you, I'm putting a liquid in here that is called water, okay? That's just a little bit of water. So that's all we're doing to test it. Here's the pile of god-awful stuff. Now, there I can see some rocks, some stuff from the masonry there, and the white stuff is there too. And so we're going to put this all in and then simply stir it around and see what's left when that's all stirred around. And we may just have to wait for the dust to settle here so we can see. We'll come back and look at that in a few seconds. But basically, the question is, if it's mold, it's going to float or it's going to stay intact. It'll just absorb water and stay there because it has a plant-like structure, and it will react positively to mold. If it's salt, or what we call effervescence, then it dissolves instantly. And if we look at this now, I think you can see down there, there is no more white stuff, and all I've got is some rocks on the bottom and a little bit of sand. The white stuff is dissolved into salt here, and this is definitely not a major problem. Now, it tells us something about the wall, but it's not a health problem because it's not mold. And the first time I ran into it was like that first picture I showed you, which was really scary because it was growing out 2 or 3 inches from the wall. And I thought that this was like, I better not even touch it. And I actually, at that point, was a lot younger, and I took a sample and I sent it to a lab, and they laughed at me and said it's salt. So I learned a lot about effervescence and to do this test. Now, what it means is that there's a lot of water in that wall. It saturates the wall. That dissolves the salt that's naturally in mortar and blocks and concrete. That comes to the surface and evaporates off and leaves the salt behind. So leaving the salt behind, it forms crystals, and the crystals will form within the concrete, and that's why crystals expand and they break it up, and that's why it starts to chip off, and there's spalling going on, breaks off the front of bricks, and then it starts to grow as crystals, and then give it enough water, it'll just keep on coming. So you really need, before you fix this thing, to take a look at how to solve the problem. And let me see, where do I have, I thought I had it right there. It's not in that one. I'm going to jump back and see if I can find you this one of solving that efflorescence. No, I don't have it. I had a picture set up for you that showed a driveway freshly reconstructed to take the water away from the house and down the middle of the driveway. That inside of that was all kinds of effervescence that once they cleaned it off, it never came back. Because first they got the landscaping done to get the water gone, and then you go in and clean it up. You can use muriatic acid, clean that off, brush it off, vacuum it up, and then you can simply paint over the top or put parging on it or anything you want. It'll stick, okay? As long as there's no new water bringing new salt to take care of that. So that's efflorescence. You can read about it on the website, and we...